Part 2. Why am I making a part 2? Well, I've had the problem again with the EGR. This time I am getting a trouble code P0489, which is EGRA. This is part 2. I'll leave a link to part 1 in the description. The problem was the car going into limp mode. So we had a check engine light would pop up, DSC disabled, cruise disabled. I went through various things that can cause that in the first video. Reason for the second video is to investigate why some brand new parts have failed, and that might help you in your selection. Perhaps you have this problem from the start. This is a 2011 Ford Territory. It has the DTC the Ford Peugeot motor that's fitted to many Land Rovers and Jaguars, the XF. So it's the 2.7 diesel. We'll focus on the EGR. Spare 2 have refunded me for the faulty part, and I've ordered the Valio one this time from Spare 2. Comparing the two, here's one of the original ones. See, it's branded Valio. Has the Ford part number on the side. Comparing that to the cheap one that failed, this doesn't have Valio written on here, and this plastic is different. It kind of, it sort of sags across here, and I don't know if you can see it in the video, but these pins are thicker in the original one. See, these are quite thin. They're actually getting bent over just from me putting connectors on them. The cheap one doesn't have any part numbers on the side, just that Feby-Bilstein on the motor. This is the Feby-Bilstein part, and compare that to this one. This is the replacement, the good one from Spare 2. That same high quality plastic as the original. It has the thicker pins compared to the cheap one. The collar is in the same place. Let's see, the machining's all quite nice in here. And doesn't have a part number, but you can see where they've ground that off in the factory. Manufacturers sometimes do that when they're supplying the same parts to aftermarket. Connect these up to the voltmeter and we can see the problem. We're interested in the signal wire for the P0489 error code. That's a signal problem. 6 is the negative and 2 is the positive for the signal. One of the original ones with the valve itself removed. I'm just looking at the motor. You can see the resistance there in kilo ohms, and as I turn that, the resistance increases. Okay, so that circuit is working. I doubt the ECU is measuring resistance. There's a 5-volt supply. It's probably measuring voltage coming from the circuit, but we can measure it just in terms of resistance. Now I'll remove this from the valve just for demonstration. Here's one connected to the EGR itself, and this is a more typical good reading. 1 kilo ohm. Open valve, it goes to 2.85 kilo ohms. Now let's look at the one that's causing trouble. Wired it up the same way, and with the valve closed we've got quite a different reading. We've got 52 ohms, not kilo ohms, 52 ohms. Okay, so that is opened. It's opening under power. The sensor circuit has not changed. It's still sitting at 52 ohms. So that's why the I was getting trouble codes. Basically, it doesn't know what position the EGR valve is at. Now let's test the brand new Valeo EGR. Got this connected up the same way, and we're getting a resistance across the signal circuit of 0.9 kilo ohms, much closer to the original one. There's two things that can go wrong. One, the valve is not opening or is getting stuck open. Two, the signal to the ECU can be incorrect, telling the car how far open the valve actually is. The problem with this cheap EGR that's causing the P0489 is in the signal circuit. Testing the other one, which this is the other Febby Bilstein one, and same problem. Only 53 ohms on the signal circuit. It open and closes fine, no change in the signal circuit when I open and close it. So I thought one of these was dead, but turns out it's both of them. What I didn't do was test this when they were brand new. Maybe they were like this from the start. The car won't throw an error code until it's been through several runs. On the Spare2 website, the Valeo one cost twice as much as this Febby Bilstein one. That was twice as much as what you'd pay on AliExpress. But it's the only one worth buying. A painful job replacing these. You don't want to do it twice. I will do another video of how to replace it on the Ford Territory.